What's happening, financial coaches? It's Pete here. Got a question about the webinars that I do, workshops, presentations, and it was kind of a two-parter here. So I probably should split up the answers into two separate pieces, but you're going to get a twofer. So the question was, Pete, when you do these presentations, keynotes, whatever, breakout sessions, workshops, presentation, educational events, whatever it might be, usually virtual, is how we're doing it. But do you record it? And if you do record it, do you reuse it for social media? And thus, do you have disclaimers, things that you put out there that let people know that you might be doing this? So the short answer is yes, I do record, and no, I don't disclose or disclaim. So let me explain why here. So first of all, I would say that in most cases, when I am doing a presentation right now, it is because a organization has requested me to do it. I very, very rarely ever do a workshop or presentation that I am personally scheduling. I have content that's ready to go. I have my presentations that are ready to go, but because it's my presentation, I would put it out there on social media if I did, and that would be it. I don't have to keep doing it. And so what ends up happening is usually an organization that has financial practitioners or advisors or program developers or whatever it might be, financial coaches, counselors, those types of things, will say, hey, can you come and do this presentation? Just FYI, my side hustle presentation has been one of the most popular ones that I've done, but I've also done creative ways to pay off credit card debt and some of these other ones. And even on my last one this year that started getting a lot of traction was personal branding for financial wellness. So one of the things that I will do is usually just do those, and almost always the organization, because in these cases many of these are virtual, record every session anyway. And there are a couple of reasons that they do that. And one of them is some people can't make it and they want to provide a recording later. Some organizations will not provide the recording. I actually kind of like that because it puts the onus on the registrants to show up for that session live. And if you don't get it, because I think for me, I'm totally guilty of this. When I register for a webinar, I just assume they're going to provide a recording later, and I'm not going to watch it at 11 a.m. or 2 p.m. or whenever. I am going to watch it recorded for a couple of reasons. One, I can watch it on my own schedule, but two, a lot of times they have these long intros and, hey, we're going to give everyone another minute here to join in, and then let me introduce our panel or whatever it is. So it's usually by the 6 or 7 minute before they actually get to the content that I care about, and so I love the recording because I can just start skipping ahead. All right. But that being said, I am been conditioned that the recordings are going to be available. So I actually worked with an organization this last June, did a presentation for them. They were recording it, but not for attendees, not for people who did not attend to watch later. It was only for attendees to go back and rewatch sessions that they might have wanted to take better notes on, refresh themselves on. So it was not available to the people who no-showed, which I actually thought was really brilliant. Usually in the framework of the whole, conference or whatever it might be, it's in there that these sessions will be recorded. And in most cases, these are done on the Zoom webinar software, and so it says, this session is being recorded. A number of times, they will have a moderator that is introducing me, and they were also saying that, all right, I am going to start the recording now, and they usually edit it up a little later. Okay. So that is usually up to the organization. Now, I have done classes, webinars, things like this, where I have recorded it too. I've even pulled out pieces that I have sometimes used on social media. So if I have kind of a specific point I'm making, in my side hustle presentation, I kind of pull out one salient point where I say that having a side hustle is not about, or primarily not about, the money. It's also about growing the mentality of independence, growing the mentality that you control your own destiny. And so I have that very short segment pulled out in a audio and video file that I will share on social media, because I want people to understand that the side hustle presentation is not just about how to do it, but the benefits that you get from pursuing a side hustle, regardless of the compensation of the side hustle, right? So yes, I do that, but there's nothing in that shows a client. There's nothing in there that shows faces or has voices or anything like that. It's just me. So would I post the whole thing on social media? I might. And, if you are just trying to start something, incubate something from the ground up, and you have a great presentation and you want people to watch it so that they say, hey, there was this great presentation, and maybe make it go viral, or say to someone that runs their organization, hey, I saw this great presentation, I think our other members would love to see it, maybe we can bring in the speaker, whatever, great, certainly do that. And recording it can be very valuable, but in general I try to do them live. And in fact, most cases, I will record a practice session when I do a presentation. So before I do any of these conferences, I will run through the presentation probably several times on my own. I will usually record the last one that I do before I actually do the real webinar. And I do that just in case maybe I get sick, something happens, the sky falls, whatever it might be. And usually then to the organizer of that conference, I will say, hey, just FYI, here's a video file in case something happens and you need to fill this spot. It can happen in real life too, and there's nothing they can do about it. You go to a hotel for a conference and you trip and break your ankle. I mean, maybe you're going to do it from the stage in a wheelchair, but maybe you just can't make it for whatever reason. And so that can happen too. But if I am available generally right now, and this is not something I'm going to stick with forever, but I will try to give it live, so that I can just kind of roll into the Q&A. But I know some people who will roll the recorded presentation and then be live at the end for Q&A. I actually don't have any issues with that, assuming that you can do it fairly seamlessly. And it's okay that people may know that it's recorded, because to be honest, depending on how many times you're giving it, if this is like once a week, I don't know that you want to just speak through the same stuff once a week. You can just let your 20 or 45 minute presentation roll and then be like, so those are my thoughts, and now we're open for Q&A, and you'll probably be dressed a little differently. Your voice might be just a slightly different pitch because of the day or a meal or whatever it is, which is totally fine too. I totally get that. It really depends on kind of the business model that you have, but for me, I try to give them live. I try not to do a conference more than once a quarter. It doesn't always happen. I mean, sometimes it's 8 a year, but generally I don't have a problem giving the presentation once every few months. So anyway, just wanted to try to address that. Do I record? Do I pre-record, or is the recording for the benefit of people on the back end? Do I put disclosures? No, because anything that I would generally share is not something that would violate anyone's privacy. So hopefully that helps. I'll see you later.